Ladies and gentlemen, today on the program, the isolation continues. That's right, kids. We're probably a week and a half now into our voluntary self-isolation after returning home from Mexico. The COVID-19 virus continues to spread, and here we are. And it's hard to know at this point in time if we're talking about being separate from reality and going back, or if we're stepping into a new reality here, kids. Either way, it's a bit daunting, but I have good news for you. Today, we have on the program, first and foremost, a different voice than mine. Some of you will be excited about that. And second, that voice belongs to our old friend, the medium Tania Thomas. Now, she was an earlier guest on the show, one of our most popular episodes, and you can go back through the archives and learn more about her story. But she contacted me last week and she said she wanted to share her impressions, what she's picking up about coronavirus and about what's going on right now. And I think it's important in these times to entertain some different perspectives, because you watch the news and you get what those news outlets think you ought to know about things. And you talk to your friends via Skype or Messenger, not face to face, or, over the fence but separated by whatever it is, 2 meters. But it's good to hear voices here, and it's good to get different perspectives. And Tania, she connects to some different folks than we do. So hopefully you'll be encouraged and uplifted by what she has to say about what she's picking up from this coronavirus thing. And wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing right now, I hope you're okay. These are strange times, kids. Strange for me, strange for you, strange for everyone. And shout out to those folks who are keeping the world going around right now. And I'm talking about your grocery clerks, which I was for many happy years. I'm talking about the garbage pickup folks who came by my place today. I'm talking about your first responders, all of the medical staff who are putting themselves in harm's way right now, kids. And they often don't get the kind of respect and appreciation they deserve. And it's times like these when we recognize people like that who are on the front lines and putting themselves in danger. And we know that there are medical personnel who are catching this thing and finding themselves in real trouble. So my salute to those people, and my salute to all the people who are doing the responsible thing and self-isolating and social distancing and trying to flatten the curve on this thing. And I know those are buzzwords, but they matter. So stay healthy, folks. Protect yourselves, protect your families, keep your distances, and we will get through this thing. And if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe the medium Tania Thomas. She's coming up right now. Denny boy, you can't be in the studio, but you got awfully long fingers, my friend. So reach over here and roll intro. You're listening to the John Huff Podcast. Oh, yay. Tania Thomas, troubled times, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, John?
Just taking it all in. I'm fine,
We're certainly learning a new way of being, right?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So a couple days ago, I got what felt like an urgent request from you.
An urgent request
to come on and talk about all this.
Yeah, I don't know. You sit there on Facebook and you see all the stuff that's going through on the Facebook feeds, and everybody's getting themselves all bent out of shape. And as I was looking through all of this, I got an email from a friend of mine, actually. And he had referenced. I'll see if I can read a little bit of it to you. I'm sure he's not going to mind. I won't say who it was.
Okay.
But he sent me an email, and as he sent it, I thought, you know what? I think maybe people need to kind of hear this same thing. Hang on here. So he had actually just finished reading my first book again, is what he had told me, which I wrote a gazillion years ago. And the first book actually kind of really talks about changes, right? Changes that we go through and challenges that we have to meet to get there.
Okay.
And he said something in the email he sent me, and it really kind of jumped out at me. And it was he stated, like a butterfly emerging from its birthing process to reveal the beauty that the world can hold. Yes, the beauty of each of us emerging in different and inspiring ways. I look forward to that for you, for me, and for all of the others going through what we are currently going through. To be on the leading edge of creation and know that I am here. I thought that was a really fascinating email and a way to look at it that he actually had sent to me. And it was at that point that I jumped out and reached out to you because I thought other people need to hear this right now.
Yeah, interesting. So do you think something big's going on here?
I've been thinking that something big has been going on or coming up for several months now, to be honest with you. And I just couldn't quite get my finger on it, which, we have no control over what's happening in the universe or, happening in the viral world, so to say.
Can you connect with viruses?
Can I connect? God, wouldn't that be great? That would be absolutely awesome. I don't want to say you can connect with viruses, but you can actually kind of learn to work with them.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, the more that you stay in the fear base, of course, the more fearful you are of something. It does lower your own defenses. So it actually lowers your own auric field as well. And with that, it's like somebody, let's say you go to see a psychic or something like that. They're one of those psychics that, they like to curse people. Yeah, have you heard of those ones? I have, sure. Yeah. So they're the ones that are like, oh, my Lord, this is what I see around you and it's awful. And if you don't give me $300, people leave that type of environment and they go into a natural fear state where they believe what they're hearing to be true. Right. And when they do that, it weakens the energetic field around you. And it actually does provide opportunities for, events to kind of come into play that could take on what looks like what this person had told you. That's interesting because we know that stress affects the immune system and the physical body as well, right? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, everybody's under a lot of stress right now. Yes. Right? Everybody's under a lot of stress. I mean, what do people want to know from you right now? Can I come for an in-person reading? That's a number one question. Can't do that. It's like, nope. That's not happening right now. People, strangely enough, I'm not getting a lot of questions from people regarding this virus. Really? I'm getting more questions from people regarding how to keep themselves safe from, this is going to sound awful, but other humans. Oh. Isn't that interesting? Are you getting messages from the other side about any of this? I have been trying to make connections into the other side about this, to talk to them about it and all. I keep kind of getting is them kind of shaking their head at me and they walk away, which is really kind of intriguing. What does that mean? Basically, it's a case of, how do I explain this? The one thing that I was able to do is I was able to go into a meditative state and got a connection into one of my own spirit guides. And I did kind of broach this with them a little bit. And they kind of shrugged their shoulders at me and they said, it's not something that you haven't been, anticipating was going to happen. There had to be a shakeup, humanity wise. Let's put it that way. So empathy wise. Tell me more. We need to know more. So in terms of the empathy wise, it's not really a case of this being something from a physical perspective. Obviously, it's causing harm to people. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I mean, it is causing deaths. It's no different than the flu causes death, right? Right. We're just more aware of it because it's something that's completely out of our control. And that's what the universe is trying to direct us towards at this point, is that you need something right now that you don't have control of. Why? Because we need to learn that we have to sometimes just kind of sit back and allow others. We have to allow others to kind of maintain control or take over. We're very egotistically based right now. The world is very ego-based at this moment.
Okay.
And it's becoming extremely evident in a lot of the conversations that are taking place with people that are out and about. I popped out for milk the other day, and I know that's, that people are like, that's a no-no, but I needed milk, for God's sake, right?
Yeah.
But you're in the shops and things like that, and people are looking at each other, and they're very, very wary, and they kind of look at you very suspect. And then on the other hand, I've got other people that come up and they just want to chat, and they're right in your face.
Right.
So you're either making a lot of friends out there right now, or you're making enemies. It's one or the other.
Oh, it's so hard to know how to feel about this. This is brand new, right? And
that's the whole point.
Yeah.
This is the whole point of this, is it is brand new, and this is something that we need to, we have to get together cohesively, as communities, universally, as the world. We have to come together cohesively on this and learn how to work through this together without kind of scratching each other's eyes out.
So how do we do that?
Empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy. We have to take how we're feeling about it, and we have to try to transport that onto the person that you're connecting with.
Are there spiritual things we should be doing?
Getting out of the fear. We're afraid of something that we can't control. That's like being fearful of death.
Right.
Ultimately, it's happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So with it actually, at the end of this physical lifetime, death is going to occur. There's nothing we can do to change that. We can't stop that. So right now we have this virus that's kind of running all over the planet, and I just want to get out there with a fly swatter and just knock it flying, but it doesn't work like that, right?
Right.
And we have to just understand right in this moment that we just have to do the best we can do to get through the day without allowing fear to take over, our thought process. Because by allowing fear about it, we actually allow it closer to us.
Interesting.
We're naturally, anything that we don't want around us, we're going to attract to us if we're fearing it.
Yeah, I've heard this before, and I'm trying to understand. I mean, how do you turn off fear? What's an approach to protecting yourself from that?
In terms of the fear, what you have to do is a lot of self-talk. So, people aren't going to sit down and meditate. A lot of people don't do that, right? But when you do get in the fear state, you just have to keep coming back to, this is something that a friend of mine used to always say, she always says that even if it's a negative thing, this too came to bless me, right? It's teaching us something.
Right.
So it's teaching us something about releasing that need to always control every single moment of our day. We can't do that right now. It's impossible.
What else is it teaching us, do you think?
Humility.
Yeah.
Humility is the biggest thing right now. Us humans, we think we're just all that, don't we?
Yeah, collectively.
We do. We really think we're all that. And it's coming back to the ego brain. And, all you have to do is go around on social media to see different things that are kind of up there and what people are saying. And my opinion is more important than your opinion. And what I know is, what I know is what I know, and you know nothing. And this is really bringing us into a humble state of being in terms of the fact that, we truly don't know anything collectively. We know nothing.
Right.
So it's a real learning curve for a lot of people. And I think the kids are doing better with this than the adults.
You mean all those Florida spring break beach kids?
Not those Florida spring break kids. That's just being completely, that's ego at its finest right there,
unfortunately. Yes, it is.
That's complete ego right there. That is a lack of humanity. That's a lack of empathy.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we need to start getting away from.
So So you think there's like a universal thing happening here, like a correction happening here?
I call it a correction. A lot of people are calling it a correction environmentally. And yeah, absolutely. It is making some changes there, right? Somebody was saying something about dolphins swimming. Was it in Venice? Where was that?
I don't know. I didn't hear.
Something about dolphins swimming in the water in Venice, or the water in Venice is getting cleaner. And that makes complete sense. We don't have people out there driving their cars around. We haven't got people out there polluting the planet right now. So from an environmental perspective, it's going to make a lot of really, really big changes. And maybe part of that is helping us to understand the humanity of it. Because as we see those changes taking place, it's really astounding a lot of folks.
Well, I did hear about the Venice canals, and I did hear that pollution in China at least was substantially reduced when they were on lockdown.
Yeah.
So we can see human-made effects on these things, but do you see any long-term change out of this, or will people forget?
People won't forget this. There's no way people are going to forget this.
No?
No way. No, not a chance. This is the biggest thing in our, generational lifetimes.
I think so.
It truly is the biggest thing in our generational lifetimes. And the fact that we're all so connected to it. You look at the pandemic of 1919, I believe it was.
Yes.
We didn't have these connections. So you were well and truly by yourself.
Yeah.
We don't have that opportunity now in this time frame. But it's really funny because a lot of people posting up on Facebook and stuff, they're complaining that they feel alone.
Yeah.
They're complaining that they feel alone, even though really and truly they're not. We've got, you can reach out to anybody at any time of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting what's going on here is that in some ways it seems like social media is suddenly becoming used for what it might have been, which is connecting people, right?
Yeah, the connecting part.
There's still all the bad stuff about social media happening.
There always will be.
Yeah.
There's bad stuff about humans being together all the time.
This is true. But it is a little bit exciting to see some of the connecting that's happening, which is cool because this is the first thing that we've ever shared globally, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's I was in Mexico a couple of weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I guess. And as I told you off air, when I got home after this relaxing week away, it took less than an hour for me to begin to feel the panic all around me,
Wow, Isn't it amazing? It's palpable.
Yeah, it's really something. And that's a collective thing,
The one thing that I really, really, really noticed from that too, or the one thing that really kind of, drives home that not only can we feel that panic collectively, but we also are capable, if we're capable of doing that and we're just sitting in our living room or sitting in our office, then we're capable of feeling so much more collectively. And I think this is part of the lesson that we're getting from this.
That's an interesting thought.
It's not just fear. It's not just fear that we can collectively respond to.
No, of course not.
It's joy.
Right, yeah. Right. And empathy, as you say. It's just so much of what we're fed is fear.
And that's all of it.
Right.
And I'm not picking on media. I'm not picking on government, anything like that. But, what you see or what people are sharing or what people are reading, it is all fear-based. And we have to get out of that. And we have to get more into the aspect of, what can we share that makes us feel that we're going to get through this?
Or what can we share that will uplift people?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
exactly.
In uplifting others, you uplift yourself, right?
Of course you do. It's just a natural consequence.
Yeah, and this it's interesting the potential this has to bring humanity together in that way.
It's incredible, actually.
But I've been around long enough to become so jaded by things that I just fear somewhere along the way this will get exploited somehow, turned negative. I'm thinking of post 9/11. Now, before this, 9/11 was the biggest thing that had happened.
Of course.
And, the couple months after 9/11 was this great coming together of people, as much as we could, social media being what it was then and what it is now. And that turned so sour. That turned into wars, and that turned into the legacy remains now. And I fear that we'll not do the best with this either in the end. What do you think of that?
I'm thinking that 9/11 taught us to be a little bit different for what we're facing right at this moment.
Yeah.
And I mean, the initial response to this, let's talk toilet paper for a second, John.
That's the most important thing for sure.
Let's talk toilet paper. I did the same thing as everybody else. I was like, what in the hell is wrong with you? Why do you need 48 packages of 24 rolls of toilet paper?
Yes.
Like, what is that going to serve? Like, what purpose is that?
Yes.
What are you doing? And that's being greedy. That was my first response too, was that's greediness. Like, what's wrong with you? But now what I'm seeing here, and it's actually happening a lot faster than I expected it to happen, we're seeing people now that are kind of jumping to the defense of those people that went out and actually did that.
What's the defense?
And the defense is that you're not looking at this from the perspective of them. They were trying to control something. They didn't know what they were trying to control. And as ridiculous as it sounds, going out and hoarding these paper products and toilet paper because we didn't know how long we were going to be locked up, that actually represented to them something that they could control.
Sure. I can see that. So
they weren't really thinking about, I'm not leaving anything for my 89-year-old neighbor down the street. It didn't even occur to them because they were so focused on what part of this can I actually, take control of.
So people, an overwhelming situation and people reacted overwhelmed.
They panicked. Yeah, they panicked. But I'm seeing that a lot here. I've been noticing a lot. I'm on social media. I'm over on Twitter. I'm looking at people's responses to things. And by and large, a lot of the population is starting to soften a little bit towards these people that did actually run out and, fill up their trunks with toilet roll. Did you hear about that woman yesterday that had I think 1,000 rolls?
No.
Did you not hear about her?
No.
She had 1,000 rolls of toilet paper in the back of her vehicle, apparently. I guess a police officer, somebody pulled her over. I'm not exactly sure the entire story. And for as many people that rushed to kind of attack her for this, without looking at what the reasons were for why she was carrying it all, for as many responses that were attacking her, there was probably equal, if not more responses saying, can we just stop for a minute and think about what may have motivated that before we rip her to pieces?
Interesting.
So, it is, and we haven't been in this state for a long period of time now. When did they actually call that we were, going into self-isolation? Was it just 10 days ago?
Ish, yeah.
It wasn't that long.
No.
So the actual turnaround that I'm seeing in people actually being kinder to each other it's shocking to me this quick into the game. This
is interesting because one of the things that most of us have not been great at historically is trying to put ourselves in other people's shoes. And we can't know what motivates most people, especially strangers, to do bizarre things. But now we have this backdrop where we can begin to understand people's motivations for some things a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe that's good.
It is a good thing. I posted up something yesterday about something that happened to somebody that I know quite well, and it was in regards to she works in the coffee industry, shall we say?
Okay.
And a gentleman had come up to the counter, and I just people feel like there's too many rules right now. I think, and especially a lot of the older generation are feeling like there's too many rules based around this.
Right.
And the whole "don't tell me what to do," aspect is coming in at this point.
Sure.
Again, goes back to control. And I did post it up on Facebook, and I only posted it up to remind people that you can't treat people this way. It's just, this is not cool. Don't treat people like this. But when he got up to the counter to get his coffee, he took a $20 bill out of his pocket, and he proceeded to take his finger, and he put his finger in his mouth. And then he ran that down the side of the bill, and he proceeded to try to hand it to her.
Okay.
And, her response was, I can't take that. I'm sorry, I'm not taking that. And he told her she had no choice. You have no choice. This is legal tender in Canada. And she responded back with, I do have a choice, and I choose not to take that, and referred him to the PIN pad on the debit machine. And he got very angry, and I won't repeat on air what he said. And he stormed out. And I did post it up, and I posted it up just as a reminder to people, don't, kind of catch people in those behaviors when they happen. If you're standing in line behind that person, catch them in that behavior. Don't necessarily turn around and bop them in the face, but say to them, is there something I can, is there something about this that's making you uncomfortable? Try to understand where they're coming from in terms of, the perspective on this.
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous as long as you're not a foot away from them.
Oh, well, that too, right? Proximity. Well, some people are on. Some people are on a hair trigger right now because they're so stressed.
They're stressed. They're angry. The older generation is angry because they keep hearing about these the boomer remover. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, and I see that, and I was going to write a blog about it, and I thought I don't even know where to start with this one. Right?
Yes.
But I have to keep reminding the more senior generation, the older generation, the boomers. I'm just 1 year off of the boomers, actually. Dan is a boomer, so I just laugh at him. But yeah, And I keep looking at this older generation going, we're also setting an example here, people.
Yeah.
There's an example to be set here. Don't let this happen. Don't let them get to you. Every generation has their own thought process and their own opinion on things. And I mean, it's not like we did similar things when we were younger. Of course we did.
Yeah, I was dumb for sure.
Exactly. So right now, in terms of like what's going on in the world, we're picking on the wrong things.
Well, the boomer generation, even if they didn't experience it, certainly can think back to a time of depressions and wars via their parents.
Of course.
And I think it's possible for a lot of older people to imagine that we're pretty soft now and that we overreact to things.
Exactly. I don't think we're overreacting to this. I think people are doing amazingly well.
I think so too.
I'm honestly, my own daughter, for example, she's handling this remarkably well. She's got 2 young kids at home, and she's just not stopping life. She's not stopping living. She's not like she's out there. She doesn't have them out there, in the movie theater or White Oaks Mall, but she's still, they're going outside. She's not going to allow them to go into a state of fear.
Good.
She won't do that. Her daughter's all ticked off because she can't go to school right now.
I don't get it, because when I was a kid, extended breaks from school, possibly permanent ones, greatest thing I ever heard of.
Oh, I know, right?
I hated school.
I know. I was the same way. It was like, yeah, get me out of here. I'll just go lock myself in my room. But kids these days are getting smarter, John.
Are they?
They're getting smarter, and as they're getting smarter, they're craving education more. They're craving more learning. Until
they get to 18, and then they go to the beach for spring break.
Until they go to, they turn 18 and go to the beach for spring break, which is completely, I'm sorry, that's just growing up, and I don't even have words for that one.
I've heard a few excellent words for that one.
I'm sure you have heard a few excellent words. That's the example of the ego mentality, and that's the one thing that a lot of us, we'll call them light workers. That's the one thing that we've really been working on, trying to, dissuade them from or encourage them towards a better way of thinking and actually considering the person beside you.
I try to cut them a little bit of slack because I know that I was dumb too. And I can imagine if this had happened however many decades ago when I was 18, probably people would have been trying to find their way around the rules or ignoring them too.
Of course, naturally.
But I feel like they ought to be shutting these beaches, like, you know what I mean?
I think they did, though. They shut it down.
Did they?
Yeah, they did shut it down. Yeah.
So, as a light worker, what is your responsibility in all of this?
I'm not the calmest person in the world, but by rights, it should be calm.
Right.
I do tend to get a little bit passionate about things sometimes, and I'm trying to really censor that this week.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I'm one of these people that I just want to I want to get out there and scream at people. This is the way you should be doing it. You're not doing it the right way.
Right.
And I really have to censor that part of me because it comes across as a little bit belligerent or pushy sometimes when that's not the actual intention. But all I keep wanting to express to people is that this too will pass.
Yeah.
And we just have to allow it to pass. But we're trying too hard to find ways to, we're trying too hard to find ways to not let it happen.
Right.
And we can't do that. It's impossible. It's happening.
It is forcing people to slow down, isn't it?
You have no choice. I'm like you. I do a lot of work from home, right?
Yeah.
But, you always have that opportunity to get up and go out if I need to go out. Oh, I'm going to go have breakfast or I'm going to go have coffee, right? So even for somebody such as myself who does spend a lot of time in my home, I'm finding this restrictive.
Yeah.
I'm finding it restrictive, but I'm also finding that it's kind of connecting me a little bit better to, what's going on around me. I find I've got more concern about people that are in the apartment building I'm living in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that person. If it obviously looks like you're going through something, I'm right there and I'm like, is there anything I could do? Can I help you? But it certainly is giving me more insight into taking care of the people that are closest to me. And there's like 9 floors of them here.
I'm seeing a lot of families walking together in the neighborhood.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes, and I think people have their kids at home now, and I think in a weird way people are unplugging from this insane pace of life that we've had until a week ago.
Isn't it beautiful?
I think it can be.
It is. It's beautiful. Yeah, slowing down to the speed of life.
Right? Because it's been so accelerated and people take so much for granted that it's been kind of fun to see. And I don't know, is the nurse in you trying to scream at people?
Part of the nurse is trying to scream, but I've decided to stop that. Somebody said to me the other day, I can't remember who it was. They were looking for retired nurses to go in and do the COVID testing, and they pointed that out on the wall to me. So I took my post down. I was like, well, okay. I was going to hide, pretend I didn't actually used to do that. Yeah, it's just the one thing that really drives me crazy, if you take my nursing background into account on this, is people telling people what not to do. And the one thing that I'm really big on is you can't just tell people to stop doing something that they've always done, because that's the way that you think that it should be happening, right? I mean, obviously you're not going to go down to the local coffee shop and stand there and, hug everybody that walks in the door. That's something that should not be done. But certain things that people are accustomed to doing, Advil is a really good example of that. If that's the only thing that gets them out of bed in the morning, leave them alone.
Yeah, it's the protocols have certainly been interesting. So, I mean, given what you do and who you are, I have to ask you where this is going.
I did. I was waiting for that. Okay. It's going somewhere better. It's going somewhere better than where we are right now or where we have been.
Go on.
It is actually going to open up a much more connected, as strange as that sounds, because we're so connected. But it's actually going to bring about a different type of a connection moving forward here, in that, we're going to be able to stop for a second and kind of breathe through before we respond to things. We're going to be able to stop and, listen to somebody's words, or because we're so tapped into the fear of things right now and the way that people are responding, we're going to understand that from a different level. So going forward, if somebody is concerned about, I don't know, they're not going to get their paycheck next week, we're going to be able to be a little bit more sympathetic to that, a little bit more empathetic to what's happening, as opposed to just naturally jumping into, we'll get a second job. What's wrong with you?
Sure.
Right? I think that we're going to find a lot more empathy towards our homeless.
Uh-huh.
What are they doing with them right now?
I've heard very little about that.
Isn't that strange? Why are we not hearing that?
Because we're all wrapped up in what we're going to do about us. Maybe.
You just actually brought something to my attention that I hadn't even considered until now. Just having this conversation about this, what has happened to our homeless population?
Well, nobody's outside to see them now. So
because we're not outside to see them, so we're just not concerned about that? That's
honestly odd. I think people are so up in the air right now that thoughts of anybody outside their immediate circle aren't even coming into play at this point in time. Because we have no idea what's happening or is about to happen, right?
Zero idea.
So it's
zero.
We're still trying to consolidate ourselves at this point before we start thinking, right?
I think what outside of the box, so to say.
Well, about those populations, like all of a sudden, all of a sudden it feels like everybody's an underserved population. You know what I mean?
Of course. Isn't that funny?
So we haven't stabilized enough to start thinking about, okay, we're going to be okay. Now, what do we do about those people who aren't? I think we just haven't got there yet.
And I think it would be a good thing if we actually did get there. It might take a couple more weeks to actually arrive to, oh my, I haven't seen that guy that used to sit outside of A&P, right? Metro. Where's he holding up through all of this? That's an interesting discussion we got onto there, because now it's got me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wondering where they are.
I don't know. Do you see any sort of timeline on this? How long this may go on?
I think it's shorter than what they're saying.
So I have a tour in Europe in May.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen?
I'm putting a big prediction out there.
I'm waiting. Yeah,
you know
go
that,
for
right?
it.
I'm putting a big prediction. I'm going to say probably yes. I have, I've just got a couple days with Sarah up in Northern Ontario in April, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be there.
You're going to go.
Yeah. You know, I'm really of the mind here that this is literally going to flip in and flip out. And I just cannot seem to shake that. I cannot shake that sense that it's flipping in and flipping out. And I've said this to a few people. And they're like, oh my God, but it's spreading. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like, remember SARS? It was there one day, it was gone the next. Do you remember that?
I remember it all happening. I don't remember the timeline, though.
It was actually incredibly short.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It was really incredibly short. I think the thing with people right now is I think the fear is keeping it more virulent.
So we're like compromised?
I think we're compromised because we're feeding it. And I'm not saying that don't be fearful and run outside and go shopping every day. Don't do that. That's irresponsible, right? Don't go to Miami on spring break. That's irresponsible. Don't do that either. But sitting at home, reading every single thing that's going by and growing that fear and feeding that fear, it actually pulls away from the energy. It pulls away from the energy of healing and health. It's pulling away from that.
So it's important to put that energy out there.
We need the energy of we're going to get through this. Or we are.
So how do we put that out there?
It's easy. We just have to say it. I don't care if you're sitting there and you think to yourself, oh my God, what happens if this kills me tomorrow? Replace that thought with a different thought. What happens if it doesn't?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where everybody is right now. Everybody's in this fear space. If I get it, that automatically means it's going to kill me. No, it doesn't. Right. That's not true. But all their people are equating this to is virus death, and that's not the way that it's actually. That's not the way it's going.
Okay.
This is the way I'm seeing it is virus wake up.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it for sure.
Yeah, it's virus wake up. Like, come on, people. Let's get a grip on ourselves
and let's reorient our priorities, maybe.
And let's care about the person next door. And let's not, scream at each other because somebody bought one extra bag of sugar. Come on. Why can't you just go up to that person and say, listen, I've got a family of 5 kids. Would you mind? Can we share that? Can we share that quantity? Why can't we do that? Why can't we let people see us? I'll give it a shot.
Yes,
I have no problem with
it. You're that sort of a person anyways.
I did it the other day in the store. I picked up 2 items, but that wasn't unusual for me. I do tend to pick up doubles of certain things that I know I'm going to use, right, in a normal grocery, grocery week. And I did pick up 2 of one item the other day, and there was, I think, 2 or 3 left on the shelf. And somebody had come up, and they went to look, and they couldn't find it. So I actually said to her, I said, here, just take this one. It's not like the expectation is that it's not going to be there next week. It is going to be there next week. So why can't you have this one for now? And I really wish a lot more people would get into that headspace.
That would be helpful.
Wouldn't it be great? We really think that Charmin's going to stop making toilet paper?
Charmin's cranking it out as fast as they can now.
Somebody's getting rich.
Mr. Charmin is getting loaded off of this.
I can't wait to see the return desks.
Oh, really?
After this.
What are people going to be returning?
It's going to be toilet paper mountain. Oh, God, it's going to be awful.
That's hilarious. Are they going to get the prices they paid for it? I wonder.
Well,
I've seen it, a 12-pack for $40 now, that sort of thing.
Can you imagine? That's taking advantage of people. It's awful.
Yes, it is.
It's taking advantage.
It's very sad. But the good people at Charmin are going to have a big bonuses at the end of this year because, man, oh, man.
What they're having to put out here.
Well, I mean, what company doesn't want all of their products sold out everywhere?
Exactly. I mean, that's going to come back and bite them in the butt in the end.
Oh, I'm hoping that it happens for musicians when all of this lifts.
Everybody's going to want to get out there and dance.
Right.
So the bars are going to open and they're going to have these reopening,
like parties.
These reopening parties, and people are going to come out and everybody's going to be excited to get together, and people are actually going to be excited to see each other again.
What a thought, eh?
People are actually going to be excited to get together again.
So there's much that we've taken for granted that we're becoming aware of here, which is good. That's a silver lining, I think.
I'm not one of these people, and I don't know about you, but I'm not one of these going over to visit people. It's just not who I am.
Right.
I am really an introvert, so it's just a case of, do I really have to go over and visit? I don't want to do that. But now I'm to that point. I'm sitting here going, God, it would be nice to go visit someone.
That's cool.
So it's going to kind of be nice when we actually get to the end of this. I think we're going to recognize that, maybe we do need to make stronger connections, because when they're taken away from us, we really are feeling the pinch of that. Yeah,
I mean, that's
where the loneliness is.
That's one possibly really cool outcome of all of this, is that we'll begin to see that, I think globally, I can't say globally, but, priorities have been out of whack for a long time. And maybe we'll get them back in whack just a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope.
Oh, we will. This is going to make a difference. It's going to make a change.
Really? Do you see a long-term change here? I'm so skeptical of people.
I know. I think it's skeptical of humanity as a whole, right? It's skeptical of humanity as a whole.
It's not a good look on me, but I just feel so cynical about things. And I fear a month after it's all over, we're just right back to where we were before. I'm going to say no. Well, you were the psychic, so I'm inclined to...
You, of course, are allowed to have your own thought process on that. Everybody has their own opinion on the way it's going to look. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, my thought process does not flatter me, so I'm not married to it.
Hey, listen, sometimes mine doesn't flatter me, trust me. But I do think, by and large, that what we're going to find when we get to the other side of this is that we are a little bit kinder to each other. We are a little bit gentler on our own... our own considerations, or our own fears, and our own anxieties, or our own lack of.
Yeah.
We are going to be more considerate that way. There's people in I'm using my building as an example because there's like 900 people living here. But there's people in this building that didn't even know each other before this week. And they're in isolation, for God's sake.
Right.
So people are actually reaching out and talking to other people like they weren't doing before.
Interesting.
Even if it's through the doors,
Yeah.
Even if it's through the doors, they're talking like so they are keeping that distance, but people are actually meeting each other.
It reminds me a little bit of the Northeast Blackout of 2003 or 4, whenever that was. Remember that?
Oh my God, that was awesome. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I can just remember walking around my neighborhood, and there were hundreds of people out on the street because we were in darkness.
Exactly. Yeah. So everybody was out looking for sunshine.
And all of a sudden, you're just talking to folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You discover people that you didn't discover before. And I mean, the same thing happened with 9/11 as well. People started to talk about it. You start talking to people in the grocery stores about it. I think everybody felt that collective. Again, it was fear. We seem to always collect together in fear.
Yeah.
And I don't think the empathy part of it, I think it was on such a large scale with 9/11. We saw all of this coming at us, all of these deaths and all of this, all of the funerals and all of the memorial services and everything big they did around the Twin Towers. And I think it kind of just got lumped in and thrown in all together at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas what we're seeing now is we're seeing little scattered pockets of this popping up. So we actually do know someone whose father just died from this. We do know someone who's, in terms of 9/11, everybody didn't know someone that actually had been affected personally by that.
No, and the other thing about 9/11 is that as much as the world was shocked by it, it was not a global experience.
No, exactly. Exactly. We were there, we saw it, we were aware of it, we weren't involved.
Right.
In terms of this virus, in terms of the virus that's moving around right now, we are all involved.
Yes. And so we share an experience with people in Italy or Spain or Iran heaven help us, Iran, like, oh, wait a minute, they're human beings too?
Exactly, and we're going through the same thing.
Or, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there's going to be one of those kids from Miami Beach that's going to end up getting this, and then they'll learn.
Oh, man.
And then they can share the experience with other people afterwards. But no, this is something that is, as stupid as it sounds, this virus is actually pulling us closer together.
I can certainly sense that.
Even though it looks like it's pushing us further apart, it is not pushing us further apart. It's pulling us closer together.
No, I think it is too, and I think that's cool, and I just don't want to see that wasted in the end.
I don't think we will see it wasted in the end. Like I said, a lot of the younger kids these days, kids are incredibly brilliant these days. They really are. So, starting from the age of 7, 8 and up, you get a lot of these younger kids going into the 12, 13, 14, the ones that are actually paying attention right now and not on the beach. Yeah. Those kids are never going to forget this. This is going to be something that they're going to remember forever and ever, and they are going to take this forward.
That's good.
They are going to take it forward, so they're going to start treating each other a little bit differently.
I hope so. And I hope their parents do too, and that would be people of my age.
I think it's just a case of us to keep, we have to keep reminding them.
Yeah.
Especially, not your age specifically, but my generation. My generation could be awful. Sorry.
Well, so can mine.
But, we've all got our issues, right? We've all got I walk through the snow, 17 feet of snow to get to school bull crap going on here, right? It's not the same experience. It's a completely different experience, and we can't equate them.
Right. I'm seeing a lot of funny memes right now because I am as Generation X as you can get.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing all these really fun memes about boomers freaking out and millennials freaking out and Generation X just sort of sitting on the couch watching it all go by.
Exactly.
It's funny.
Yeah. When in truth, you're not just sitting on the couch watching it all go by. You're not freaking out.
I'm not.
That's the difference right there.
But some Xers must have been in those toilet paper lines, I'm sure.
Oh, they were. They were, right? But it's all personal processing.
Yes, of course.
It all comes to personal processing. I remember my aunt, God love her, she's adorable. I absolutely love my aunt. I think she's coming 79 this year.
Yeah.
But she's always hoarded fabric softener.
The must-have.
She came through the Second World War at the end of it.
Yeah.
And she kind of, something in this headspace about if it's on sale, make sure you get 10,000 boxes, right?
Right.
And I do wonder if it is generational in terms of a lot of the people that are hoarding these products.
Maybe.
Is it a generational thing? Because, what is it that we were taught by our grandparents? That we were taught by our parents? You always have to make sure you have enough of this. Did you get toilet paper this week? Is toilet paper on the list?
I think people have watched a lot of zombie apocalypse movies.
I don't watch those.
I honestly do. Like, I think there's been a proliferation of this kind of survivalist mentality, and part of me thinks people have been waiting for an opportunity to play that game. You know what I mean?
Maybe that has a lot to do with it.
Maybe in some cases, like, I think about that too. Like, okay, here we go. We got some capital age history. It's going down here, and here's my chance to be that guy. I got my house. I got my kingdom looked after. You know what I mean?
I'm papered. I'm totally papered.
Right? Maybe.
I think that's hysterical. I'm totally papered.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's just. It's the weird thing, and maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the actual the product marketing on toilet paper. I don't know. It's just something about it makes you feel safe. It makes you feel clean. I don't know what it is.
It's a strange product for people to have.
It's weird.
Of like, because we know that the virus doesn't require extra toilet paper of you. It's just a strange thing for people to have latched onto. But all it takes is for a few people to do that, and you begin to think, hey, it's all going to be gone, and then pandemonium starts. And
then everybody just goes a little bit crazy.
If you're prone to fear to begin with,
exactly.
I said on a recent podcast that I wasn't getting a lot of reassurance from the people in authority. In the early days of this, nobody was coming out and telling us to calm down. You know, it was just soundbite after soundbite about this crazy virus and not nearly enough reassurance, you know?
Well, I don't know. You know, you look at them and they get up there and I particularly love listening to Trump. It's interesting listening to him. But you get them up there and they're facing off like the entire country.
Yeah.
They're facing off the country. And everybody's looking to that person saying, okay, what are you going to do for us? What are you going to do about this?
Yeah.
And when it comes right down to it, they're just as human as you are and just as human as I am. And they haven't got a damn clue what's going on.
Oh, Donald Trump knows all. I think we know that.
Well, no. In Donald Trump's mind, Donald Trump knows all.
Right.
But I saw fear on Trudeau's face. I saw fear.
Well, I mean, his wife had it, right?
Yeah.
Or has it.
Yeah, or has it right now. That
hits pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw fear. I did. And I'm not so sure it was a fear, you know, in terms of they're healthy. They're a healthy couple, right? I don't think it was fear so much in terms of, you know, their physical health. I think it was more fear with him of, what do I tell people? What do I tell them?
Well, I mean, he's got to be the leader here.
Like, how do I make them, you know, how do I make them not so fearful of what's going on?
How do I tell them it's going to be okay if I don't even know it's going to be okay?
Precisely. But okay in the end. Everything comes out okay in the end.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that.
People survived World War One. It's true.
They did.
There's a quote. Yeah, everything is okay in the end. You know. Either way it works out. I saw a quote yesterday, and there are moments that mark your life, moments when you realize nothing will ever be the same, and that time is divided into two parts: before this and after this.
Do you think this is where we're at? This is a before this and after this moment?
We're absolutely right, slam in the middle of that.
Boy, oh boy.
So that process going forward, it is going to change us exponentially. It is, and it's going to change us for the better. It really is going to change us for the better.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
It's I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's great. That's reassuring.
I don't think we're going to have any of these, you know, remember when. Right? I think it's going to get so ingrained into us over the coming weeks, or I don't even want to say months, to be honest with you. I have a hard time. I'm struggling with the whole months aspect of this.
Okay.
But, you know, over the coming weeks, we're going to learn a whole new way to be.
Great.
And I do think that we're going to carry it forward.
So, how can those of us who are not as psychically developed as you are tap into the spirit world for reassurance here?
Read a book.
Your book?
Not my book. You don't have to read my book. Read whatever book you want. Preferably not on the zombie apocalypse. That'd be great.
What sort of a book?
Any type of book that you're comfortable with, something that you just want to sit down. I just need to take your mind away. Your mind needs to go away. I need your mind not to focus on, you know, what's online, what's in front of you, what the TV is running.
Okay.
So we have to focus on anything except the outside voices that are going on around us right now.
Okay.
So we need to get ourselves disconnected. And people are like, well, we're already disconnected. But no, let's get a little bit more disconnected.
Okay.
So, you know, go sit down, go have a nice hot bath, have a bubble bath.
Yep.
Just lean your head back, just get into that beautiful, relaxed state. Open up your mind to, you know, everybody that came before you. Pull them in there. Pull your grandfather in. Pull your grandfather that was in World War II. Get your great-grandfather that was in World War I. You know, pull into their energy and say to them, you know, I am fearful right now of what might be happening. Can you give me any insight? Is there anything that you can make me feel?
Interesting.
So, you know, can you make me feel something? And when I say feel something, very often you'll find that people will get a sense of calm that comes over them. Gets very pervasive.
Okay.
They'll get a sense of calm that comes in, or suddenly they'll want to laugh. They feel joyful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way the spirit side is working with them. It's giving you this indication of what actually is coming forward.
That's interesting, because I think a lot of people would be listening for like an audible kind of message or an intuition or whatever.
The thing with feeling is an intuition. So getting that sense, the emotional response, that is an intuitive response from the universe. But if if I'm dialing up grandma here or dialing up grandpa, the natural thing for a lot of people is to, well, that's what I wanted them to say.
Sure.
That's what people do. So I always say, ask for a feeling first. Ask for how it feels. What does this feel like?
Yeah.
Going forward, what is your way of kind of giving me some, consolation? What's my consolation prize at the end? How does that feel? For everything that I have to go through. You can go out and take walks. You don't have to be near people, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I'm going to grab the dogs later and take them up to port. So I'm just going to be on the beach. It's not like I'm going to be around people.
Yeah.
So you can do that. Doesn't mean you have to take every neighbor with you. I think people, it's like, get out there, get outside, fresh air. The energy that we're looking for is outside.
Interesting.
It's not here. It's not in here because we're filling our homes with fear.
Right.
Right? So walking is a great way to do that, to get connected into them and just, get that sense again. What does this feel like for me? How does that smell for me? They can also use, what does that smell like for me?
Okay.
And they can actually bring different aromas through and by that will kind of get you connected to the way it's going to work out.
So pay attention to different senses, in other words.
You have to pay attention to senses.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So when you're sitting there and you think, you know what, this is going to be okay, believe that.
Yeah.
Because there is a response that comes along with the thought process that you're actually having.
Okay.
There is that part of it does get connected. A lot of people, they don't feel. People are so inclined to just want to listen.
Yeah.
That they don't feel. If they can get so connected into the feeling of fear that's going on right now, why can't you get connected into the feeling of the future?
Sure.
Right?
Or hope or optimism.
Exactly.
And there are examples of that out there for you to pay attention to as well.
All kinds of them.
Right?
All kinds of them. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
All kinds of them. They're all over the place. All you got to do is find them.
And we're hearing, you can go on YouTube and watch the people in Italy singing from their balconies, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, the other side of this is accessible as well.
Exactly. But why can't you sing yourself too?
You can.
Why can't you sit at home? There's nobody around that's going to hear you except your neighbor. They don't care. Right? My neighbor's like partially deaf, so she's not going to hear me anyway. Right?
Right.
But the Italians that are out there on their balconies and they're creating music.
Yeah.
That actually is healing to the universe. It's healing.
Cool.
So music, as you know, and this is why I always bring music along in my shows, is it lifts the energy. It brings it up.
Right.
It raises it. So I think if everybody could turn on the music.
Yeah.
As a whole.
Yep.
It's amazing what we could create in terms of the healing that we could bring about that's going on outside of us.
That is an excellent thought.
Yeah.
Something I will pay attention to for sure.
Get on your drums and do a 1-hour drum. Is that what you were going to do the other day?
No, that was a joke. Nobody needs me doing a drum solo. That's not my thing, but...
I saw it and thought, well, I'm waiting.
I just wanted to post a picture of those giant drumsticks I was holding. I mean, I'm trying to raise spirits through comedy, so... And doing these podcasts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the comedy is a good part. I wrote the blog the other day, and it really was very, very... It was not, all fear and mayhem and oh my God. It was really actually a case of I'm going to kill the dog in about 3.4 seconds. I'm over it now.
Yeah.
So no.
It's important to laugh right now. I think that's very important.
That's the two things. Music, sing.
Yeah.
Turn up the tunes.
Yeah.
Laughter.
Yeah.
And cheers.
Yeah. All right. So are you still accepting clients over the internet during all this?
I will do phone readings. I'm not doing in person.
No, of course not. But you will.
Got to keep everybody safe, right?
Yeah. So if people want to connect with you, they still can.
They still can. Yeah.
Okay. Super. Any last words here as we wrap up?
We're learning to love each other.
Yeah.
We're learning to love each other. And for those people, that may struggle with that, they may say to me, well, we already do love each other. No, we haven't learned that yet. And this is where it's taking us. We're learning how to love each other and accept each other for our own frailties because we're seeing a lot of them.
We are.
Right?
All right. A wonderful thought to close with. Well, good luck to you. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Hopefully I'll be allowed to see you soon.
No kidding, right? We should do lunch if they ever open my eyes.
Yes, we absolutely will.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for this.
Thank you for listening. I had no idea where this was going to go, but here we are.
Oh, I always know with you it's going to go somewhere good.
Usually.
Yep.
Well, not usually. Sometimes not so great, but we'll see.
No, I think this was helpful for people, so thank you very much.
Alrighty, you're welcome.
Okay, I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you once again, gentle listener, for taking in today's show. If you want to know more about the program, go to www.john-huff.com. That's JOHN-HUFF.com and click on podcast. You can also find the show on Facebook at The John Huff Podcast. If you're an Instagram person, you can find me at JW_Huff. If you're a Twitter person, you can find me at JWSHuff. No matter where you listen to the show, please do me a big favor and leave a rating and review. Preferably a positive one. That's all the time we have for today, but I'll be back very soon. Until then, keep your wits about you and remember, good things happen when you put yourself out there. Bye for now. Self-isolation ends on Friday. I'm getting pizza.